She thought she married a soldier. Instead, she married a killer. In 2016, 22-year-old Cati Blauvelt vanished after work. Days later, her body was found in an abandoned farmhouse, stabbed 7 times. Her husband? Gone. So was a teenage girl obsessed with him. He used military training to disappear for 6 years, until one ego-fueled mistake exposed the truth. This is the story of Cati Blauvelt, the woman betrayed by the man who vowed to protect her. Cati Blauvelt was the kind of person who made others feel lighter just by being around them. She worked at a pet store in South Carolina, where her co-workers described her as warm, funny, and deeply caring. She loved animals. She loved kids. She had dreams of becoming a mother. So, when she met John Blauvelt, a clean-cut Army recruiter stationed at Fort Jackson, most people thought she'd found the stability she deserved. He wore the uniform, spoke with confidence, acted like a man with purpose. They married in 2015. In their wedding photos, they looked happy, smiling, arms wrapped around each other. But Cati's family noticed things early on. Small things. John was controlling. He decided everything, even the guest list. He told her not to invite certain friends, said they were bad influences. It got worse after the wedding. Cati once told a co-worker that John had taken her phone away for a week after she messaged an old friend. She came to work with bruises she brushed off as clumsy accidents. And then, in the middle of it all, came Hannah Thompson. Hannah was 17 when she met John, a high school student. Vulnerable, impressionable. He met her through his recruiting duties. What started as a mentorship quickly turned into something else. Witnesses saw them together, too often, too close. And Hannah's social media said what John wouldn't. Heart emojis, cryptic tweets. One post read, "Some people just need to disappear so others can be happy." It didn't take long before John's life began to unravel. Fellow recruiters noticed his behavior shifting. He ranted about how Cati was ruining his career, told one colleague, "I'd be better off if she was dead." When Army leadership confronted him about inappropriate conduct with Hannah, he didn't deny it. He blamed Cati. By late 2016, the Army began preparing his discharge. And just weeks before it became official, Cati disappeared. It was a Sunday, October 23rd, 2016. Cati had just finished her shift at the pet store. She texted a few friends, said she was heading to meet them, but she never arrived. Surveillance footage captured her blue Honda pulling out of the parking lot. A passenger was visible beside her, but the face was obscured. That was the last time anyone saw her alive. When Cati didn't show up, her friends grew concerned. They called her, texted, no reply. So, they called John. He told them she'd decided to visit family in another state. But when her mother was contacted, she said they hadn't spoken in days. Something was wrong. Police performed a welfare check at the couple's home. They found John there, calm, collected, and strangely detached. Instead of asking where Cati was or helping search, he asked officers, "Do you have enough to charge me?" His arms had fresh scratches. He said they came from clearing brush. His alibi? That he had been home all evening, alone. But cell tower data told a different story. His phone had pinged along a remote route heading toward the rural outskirts of Simpsonville, South Carolina. Farmland, dense woods, and abandoned buildings. The next clue came from a hunter. 4 days after Cati's disappearance, he stumbled upon a boarded-up farmhouse, empty for years. In the basement, signs of a struggle, forced entry, and then, the body. It was Cati Blauvelt. She had been stabbed 7 times in the neck. The blade had broken inside one of the wounds. The serrated edge, a match for military-issued combat knives. And John Blauvelt owned a set. But by the time forensics confirmed the body, John was gone. AWOL from Fort Jackson. No forwarding address, no goodbye, and he wasn't alone. 17-year-old Hannah Thompson had vanished too. When Cati Blauvelt's body was found in the basement of a long-abandoned farmhouse, police had 2 suspects, and both had vanished. John Blauvelt, the husband, was already missing. But what caught investigators off guard was who disappeared with him: Hannah Thompson, a 17-year-old high school student. Just months earlier, she had been a regular teenager. School, homework, sports. But behind closed doors, she was obsessing over a man twice her age. A man who wore a uniform and told her things she wanted to hear. She wasn't just infatuated, she was involved. Digital evidence proved it. Her phone records placed her within 2 miles of the crime scene the night Cati disappeared. Gas station security footage showed John's truck with a passenger matching Hannah's build. And the next morning, traffic cams captured Hannah driving Cati's car, wiping down the steering wheel with a cloth. When questioned, Hannah claimed she'd been home with John all night, watching movies. But her parents? They were out of town. Police seized her laptop. What they found wasn't just disturbing, it was damning. How to remove blood from car seats. How long does DNA last at a crime scene? South Carolina Missing Persons Database. Those searches were made hours after Cati went missing. And in her text messages, sometimes you have to do bad things for love. He says we'll be together forever, now that she's gone. After fleeing South Carolina with John, Hannah used burner phones to message friends back home. The tone of those texts painted a dark portrait of a girl swept up in delusion and destruction. But it didn't last. John abandoned her at a gas station in Oregon, broke, alone, with no ID. She called family friends, sobbing. Her tone had shifted. Her confidence was gone. She told them John had changed his mind about their future. When police finally caught up with Hannah, she denied everything. Said she was just a scared girl. Said she had nothing to do with it. But during interrogation, she began describing details about the crime scene that had never been made public, including the exact number of stab wounds. Then came the breaking point. Detectives showed her autopsy photos of Cati Blauvelt. She collapsed, and then she talked. According to Hannah, John confessed to the murder during their cross-country escape. "I did that for you," he said. She was begging me to stop. But Hannah didn't just listen. She helped him run. She helped him lie. She helped to dispose of evidence, including Cati's phone, wallet, and clothes, dumping them at gas stations and motels across 3 states. Bank records showed Hannah even withdrew $1,000 from her college fund to help buy prepaid phones and supplies for their escape. Her defense would later argue that John had groomed her, that he manipulated her, that he promised her love, family, a future, if only Cati was out of the picture. But the evidence showed more than just infatuation. It showed participation. And while John disappeared deeper into the wilderness, Hannah was left holding the story no one wanted to believe, that a teenage girl helped cover up a murder, and might have helped plan it. After the murder, John Blauvelt disappeared using military survival training. He assumed fake names, paid in cash, and moved frequently. In Oregon, he lived as David Carter, working off the books and staying under the radar for 6 years. He joined a survivalist group, and that was his mistake. He bragged about military tactics. Undercover marshals recognized him. When arrested, they found a pistol, forged IDs, and Cati's wedding photos stored like trophies. A journal entry dated the night of the murder read, "I did it." At trial, 17-year-old Hannah Thompson testified under a plea deal. She admitted John confessed to the killing during their escape. The prosecution showed cell data placing them at the scene, the broken knife matching John's military gear, texts showing Hannah had helped cover up the crime. The jury found John guilty of murder. He was sentenced to life in prison without parole. Cati's family turned their grief into purpose, opening an animal rescue in her memory at the pet store where she once worked. Her story is now used in domestic violence and fugitive training programs, reminding us that the most dangerous people aren't always strangers. Sometimes, they're the ones closest to us. If this story moved you or made you think twice about the people we trust, consider subscribing. We cover the darkest crimes, the victims who deserve to be remembered, and the truths buried beneath silence. Hit subscribe and turn on the bell so you never miss a case. Because sometimes, the most terrifying stories are the ones that were real.